What's up, fellow pumpkins? Today I think it's important we talk about Dance Moms, the show that is filled to the brim with drama. From drama among mothers to the dance instructor who was once in prison for fraud, spending her hours away viciously insulting children. This show has a lot to look at. There is a lot to take in.
Is your mother speaking
your
for
finger
you? Do you
out
want to
of
be
my face, girls? Out the room.
Yeah, you idiot. As you can see, this show is intense, and due to this intensity, it's gained widespread success. In addition to gaining tons of success, Dance Moms paved the way for many of the dancers in the show to be successful. The most known person being JoJo Siwa. Though some good has come from Dance Moms, there has been a lot of bad. There is a lot to unpack when you look at how this show has negatively impacted the lives of its cast members. Since there's so much to get through, it's important that I provide some context on what this show is for those of you who don't know. Dance Moms is a show that aired on the Lifetime channel. It's a reality show. Heavy quotation marks there. It follows the dancers of the Abby Lee Dance Company as they try to find success in competitive dance. And the show really puts a prime focus on the drama among the dancers' mothers and the dance instructor, Abby Lee Miller. There are frequent things that happen in the show to further drama and tension, and many of the show's decisions are seemingly made just to escalate conflict. For example, there is a pyramid system in which Abby literally rates the kids from best to worst over the week, forcing kids to compare themselves to each other and leading people to harbor jealousy and resentment. Now, with Abby Lee Miller, there is no nice way I can describe her, so I'll just let her do the talking.
I don't really need producers. I could probably make a kid cry in 30 seconds. I know exactly what to say to a child to make them run to their mother and then get their mother all ticked off.
She's proud of that, and she is ruthless. Abby has insulted dancers on her team and other teams in the show for very dumb reasons and often tries saying that she is the best in the room. She has gone after parents and tried to place herself in a position of superiority while simultaneously tearing down children.
Yes.
I just don't understand why I don't have a solo because there's 3 kids on the team.
Because I don't want you to have one.
Because you made fun of my kid all year that she's some kind of brat, and she's not. She asked you a nice question,
No,
and
you're the brat.
you're gonna
Look at
slap
you.
them.
Her actions have negatively impacted her students long term, and that's not really a surprise. This is really just the tip of the iceberg here. So let's take a deep, long look at what Abby has done over her 8 seasons of Dance Moms. When it comes down to how Abby behaved on Dance Moms and how she mistreated kids, it's hard to know where to start because there is just so much to look at. But I think a good place to start would be at Abby's absolute lack of understanding for how kids or emotions work. She has this knack for saying awful things and making kids burst into tears. And once she's done making kids cry, she has an inability to tolerate their crying, which she caused. For example, there is a moment in the show where Abby is screaming her face off at JoJo Siwa, her face red, way too emotionally heated for a 40-year-old dealing with a child. She screams at JoJo that she deserves nothing. And when JoJo starts crying, Abby gets fed up at the fact that children cry if you're mean to them.
To be on the pyramid, she was in the group dance.
She deserves nothing. Don't have an attitude that you are entitled in this world. You are not. You deserve nothing else. I want no crying children.
Now, for context on that clip, what Abby said was still related to dance ability. People have described her as just being a tough teacher, not a horrible person. But there is a point where you have to draw the line. You can be tough on a kid, you can be a strict teacher, but being strict does not equal gaining satisfaction from humiliating a child.
I could probably make a kid cry in 30 seconds.
In another edition of Making Kids Cry, we have Abby throwing a temper tantrum because one of her students asked why she couldn't have a solo.
Why I don't have a solo because there's 3 kids on the team.
Because I don't want you to have one. Is that a good enough answer? I'm not giving you another excuse. It's my company, I say no.
And after she throws this tantrum, she's called out for behaving like a child. Now you may be wondering, how does Abby deal with being called out? Well, she tries to make the person calling her out seem like a terrible person who hates disabled people.
Stomp your feet when you say it, because that's what it sounds like, a little brat.
Are you making fun of me because I'm in a wheelchair and I can't stomp my feet?
So we know that Abby is harsh in what she says with teaching, and some people write this off as her just being strict. But what can't be written off as being strict is teachers insulting kids based on their appearances, because that has absolutely nothing to do with dance ability. On camera, Abby has not only insulted her dancers based on appearance, she also had no issue with insulting a dancer from a different dance school because of her ears.
Abby, I can't even believe you just did that.
This woman lacks this much confidence that she has to go after teens for their ears. This kind of throws me back to this one time a teacher was about to send me down to the principal's office because my ears were pointy and she thought I permanently reshaped them in class. Anyway, as if insulting ears wasn't bad enough, Abby also, in a very racially insensitive manner, says that one of her dancers' hair is holding her back.
Yes,
Do
I
not
did.
change your hair
And you know what? I did get approval for it, and this is part of her ethnicity.
Well, it's weighing her down. It's
Ethnic
weighing her
dancer.
down. It's like a log coming out of the side of her head.
In these moments where Abby is putting dancers down over the dumbest reasons, she also makes a point to put the parents down in comparison to her. She asserts that she is superior to everyone in the room, and I don't know if she's aware of this behavior, but this is definitely something that has been shown.
No, I'm making fun of you because you made fun of my kid all year that she's some kind of brat, and she's not. She asked you a nice question,
No,
and you're
you're the brat.
gonna
Look at
slap
you.
the pig.
We've observed that Abby can be a pretty horrible person on the show, but one fact of Dance Moms is that the combination of shifty editing and producer interference allows the show to paint any narrative they want on any person. So let's talk about the producers and show's editing before getting back to Abby, because maybe she was painted in a wrong light. Maybe she wasn't that bad. Let's take a look. Dance Moms, like all reality shows, is not true to reality. It's weird that they're called reality shows when the genre is known for its fakeness and deceit, but it's true. Dance Moms is not reality. The show isn't scripted, but testimonies from the dancers, moms, and Abby have all been consistent in saying that the producers and editors of the show have done a lot to make the show not reflect reality.
About the show being scripted, the show is not scripted, but it is very heavily edited and very heavily produced. Like, the producers were definitely mean sometimes, and they were the biggest instigators, the biggest freaking instigators ever. Now, edited, oh my god, they can edit anything. They can edit what you say, they can edit where you are in something, they can edit anything. They can make anything look any way they want it to.
The drama and conflict may not necessarily be scripted, but the producers and editing of the show was able to craft a story and paint people in a way that's just juicy for drama. One big dramatic element in the show that was caused by producer interference would be the pyramid system that Abby uses to rate her dancers each week. The pyramid really is just a tier list each week that tells dancers how much they're worth, how good they did.
You deserve nothing.
Despite Abby's behavior on the show and how it might seem to make sense that she would create something like this, she has actually said that it was entirely the producer's idea. So let's all just get something straight. The producers of Dance Moms sat together in a delightful meeting room, their intellects brewing with a storm of chaotic ideas, and they said, "You know what we should do? You know what is gonna make the ratings go through the roof? Tier lists of children, baby! Yeah!" It's not like rating the kids each week in terms of which one was the best and which one was the worst could have any effect on their confidence or self-esteem. Not at all. The producers paid so much effort and so much focus to their children tier list that you would think they were gonna go hungry if they didn't get it right. It's a known fact in the Dance Moms fandom that the days in which the cast filmed Pyramid were the longest, because the Pyramid days ran 3 or 4 hours just filming the triangle of humiliation.
It really takes us like 3 hours because like we either don't walk in the right way.
They needed people to walk in a certain way, they wanted people to exhibit certain reactions, they needed Abby to reveal the photos on the pyramid just right. If these things were done wrong, too bad, do it again. Pyramid days seem to be the most fabricated. It is the absolute peak of producer involvement because not only do we have this concept being a producer idea, reactions and things such as walking needed to be refilmed until it was perfect. We also have shady editing decisions that change how some of these days were aired altogether. One weird decision was made during a pyramid session. One of the moms, Jill, is shown storming out of the studio with her daughter, and editing from that point on makes it seem like she was absent for the rest of the day, but she was there the whole time, so that's that. The pyramid was one major tool the producers used to stir up drama and portray people a certain way, but these decisions were not confined to the pyramid. Throughout the whole show, there were shady editing decisions that just made people look really bad. One of the moms on the show, Christy, was shown to be yelling at girls to get out of her way, but in actuality, she tweeted that she was just yelling at the cameramen. Her back is turned to the camera in the shots they're using, so you can't really tell who she was speaking to. The idea here is that the editors took this out of context and made her look terrible. And the decisions while making this show, these decisions to make people look like they're behaving outrageously, these happen all the time in nearly every reality show, but this is usually only done with adult cast members. On Dance Moms, the effects of these decisions don't just affect the adults, they affect the children too. Take Peyton, for example. She made a YouTube video talking about her time on the show, and in this, she talks about the first episode she was in. And in this first episode, the show creators and editors decided that painting a young girl to be the conceited, egotistical spawn of Satan was a good idea.
I remember going to the competition on the first episode that I filmed, and they said, "Can you say that you think you did better than the other contestants?" Meaning the other groups. And I said, "Absolutely." And so I said that. They edited it and made it seem like I was saying it about the girls that I was dancing with, and from there, like, everybody that watched the show hated me.
And I believe this is the clip she was referring to.
I thought that I was better than most of the people.
You thought you were better than most of the people in this group? Oh, that's cocky.
She also said that it was pretty clear from the moment her mom and herself showed up, they were going to be shown as the villains of the show. And the impact of this was pretty serious. She was literally receiving death threats.
There was so much drama, and they immediately made us look like the bad people, you know, like the crazy ones, the bullies, all that stuff. Up until I stopped filming, which I filmed for a couple seasons on and off, it never changed. It got to the point where I was getting death threats. People were calling my home phone in the middle of the night. People were showing up to our front door. My dad had to tell people, "Listen, you have to stop."
Death threats are not justifiable. It's not the job of the show creators to police every actions of its viewers, but if you make the decision to televise the worst of someone, if you literally take things they say out of context or try to make them say vile things, then some fans are going to have terrible reactions. And some of them, if they're really angry, terrible people, will send death threats to minors. It's just how it is. After addressing all of that, after talking about how producers and editors can shape narratives in the show, it's time to return back to the infamous Abby Lee Miller and look into the question, did the show do her wrong? Is she a nice person off air? You know, maybe she doesn't actually want to make kids cry. Well, let's take a look. To answer the question, Abby does not seem like a great person off air. She seems kind of crummy. If you find what she's done on the show to be bad, then it really doesn't get much better because, in the words of a former dancer on the show, what you see is what you get with her.
A lot of questions about if Abby's mean or not. I would probably just say, what you see is what you get.
In fact, what you see on the show might be a dulled down version of what you get with Abby, because it seems to be a fact in the Dance Moms community that the show has tried to portray Abby as better and has saved her reputation through editing. In the season 4 finale, Abby and Christy get into a fight, and in this, Abby insults Christy's daughter Chloe, and this clip was edited so Abby is saying she's washed up, sending Christy into a rage. But when you listen to the audio, it matches exactly with audio that was used in a previous episode.
Chloe, it's finished! Your kid's washed up! You're finished! You're washed up! It's washed up!
So it really looks like the editors changed what Abby said. But why? Well, turns out this clip supposedly had her originally making fun of Chloe's eye. Chloe has a medical condition, silent sinus syndrome, that can cause facial asymmetry. So Abby was making fun of Chloe for a medical condition far beyond her control. And this sort of comment, or maybe this very comment, is what drove Christy and Chloe to leave the show.
The reason I left Dance Moms was because my former dance teacher made fun of a medical condition I have. And if you watched a video that I released on my YouTube a couple of years ago, I have a condition called silent sinus syndrome. Some might say that it wasn't that serious what she said, which I would disagree. She was really rough on me that year. We were at nationals. My mom was actually sticking up for one of my friends that I used to dance with. My dance teacher decided to start yelling at my mom about me. We were in the back room and we weren't supposed to be there, but we heard everything that was said. The crew that took care of the girls, they would always like separate us from that, which was great. But I just happened to be listening and I heard everything she said, and they didn't show it on Dance Moms, and it's not really said a lot, but she made fun of me.
Being demeaning towards her dancers in the show is not enough for her though. It does not quench her thirst for blood. She has basically tried to overshadow a student on Instagram over her accomplishments. Kalani Hilliker, a former dancer on Dance Moms, posted on Instagram that she was really excited for being on a prom girl billboard on Sunset Boulevard. This is not real life. Thank you, Prom Girl XO, for making my dream come true. A billboard on Sunset, I still can't believe it. I was literally in the car 5 minutes before we saw and said, I want to be on a billboard one day, and here I am. She was really happy. And then Abby, with her questionable decisions, her very sharp mind, made a post on Instagram. Let's take a look at it. A billboard in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood Boulevard too. Been there, done that. It feels like this exists to really just say, hey, you're happy? You think you did something? Well, everyone look at me. I did something too. I did more. In my many more years of living, I accomplished more. I've been on 2 billboards. Look at that. Abby has been seen to not be a great person on Dance Moms and off air, but it's time to look at her self-centeredness and ego made of glass. Now, I'm not a psychologist, and you can't ever know what's going on inside someone's head, but from Abby's actions, she appears to have an inflated sense of self-importance. Going back to the Instagram post, it looks like Abby tries to make sure people know that she is better than everyone. There are tons of scenes in the show in which someone challenges Abby, and then Abby basically says, you don't know what you're talking about, I'm better than you, what have you done? Nothing. When she's talking to a mom, she really loves making sure the daughter is in the room just to hear how trashy their mother is.
Her all is not good enough.
As an educator, you should...
Wait a minute! The hick from Indiana is gonna tell me what an educator is?
She also told a girl that she would be so much better if she could just get away from her mother.
Ava, you're too tall for us today. You're cut.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Honey, you're a great dancer. You're gonna be successful if you can get away from your mother and get great training. Go.
Get away from me.
Yeah.
She can say she's better than other people, but if anyone else tries to say that they are better than others, she is absolutely baffled, shocked, horrified. She is like on her deathbed. She cannot live with the fact that someone could think that they are better than anyone.
Say no, Abby?
No, Abby. I thought she did fabulous.
Right, and you're not a dance teacher.
I thought that I was better than most of the people.
You thought you were better than most of the people in this group? Oh, that's cocky. I was appalled. I cannot believe that a 14-year-old young adult would open her mouth and act like that in a room full of amazing dancers.
She's acting like that behavior isn't her entire personality. Wake up, Abby. Wake up. Abby couldn't stand that, but what really popped her little bubble of self-importance, what really brought the hammer down on her ego made of glass, was when JoJo Siwa talked back to her. Abby lost her mind.
I will no crying children. None.
Well, if you yell at me, I'm gonna cry.
Get out. Go. Go.
Abby genuinely makes kids cry. On the regular, she has made fun of people on the basis of a condition they cannot control. She has said that a girl needed to change her hair and suggested that her ethnicity was holding her back. She has treated people terribly, but JoJo Siwa, bringing facts and logic into this situation, destroyed her. JoJo just says, if you yell at me, I'm gonna cry, and Abby goes berserk. She can't handle it.
Why'd she's tell me to get out? Because you talked back to her. Oh, so she's a baby, she can't handle talking.
No, because her kids don't talk.
If you yell at any of those kids, they're gonna cry. They're gonna cry.
She seems to think she's untouchable, that it is an offense to challenge her, and this is probably why she thought she could get away with fraud. She did not. She went to jail because she hid $775,000 of her dance mom's income. She was charged with 20 counts of fraud, and she was in jail for 10 months. Now that we've talked a lot about Abby, the producers, and editing behind this show, let's go to some concluding thoughts on how the cast of this show has been impacted from Dance Moms. After talking about the catastrophe that is this show, it makes sense that the dancers who were on it, the people who were on it, would not look back at their experience as fantastic. Though the dancers on the show have been grateful for the opportunity they've received, many of them have acknowledged that there's been a downside. In the case of Peyton, she received death threats, had to deal with the horrible portrayal of her family. In the case of Cameron Bridges, she had to deal with anxiety, how the show portrayed her and her mother, and being taken out of context.
And it's like, I literally had to go to therapy after that mess. And they always made me look like a loser, back row dancer, all this stuff. Just bad. They would be twisting me and my mom's words to the point where my mom got so skinny on that show because she never ate. Because her anxiety was that bad that she wouldn't eat.
And Chloe had to be in that environment in which she would be judged on something as uncontrollable as her eye. And Chloe was not the only one judged on basis of appearance.
She's like, you suck, you're freaking terrible, your feet are absolutely horrible. One time she told me that the bottom of my feet looked weird because, like, the top of my feet were brown and the bottom were white, and none of the other people's were like that. And she was like, it looks weird on the Marley. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm black.
There was even a part of their contract that controlled the dancers' weight gain.
Because to be a part of her studio, you had to sign a contract. A few of the main reasons my mom wouldn't sign was because it said stuff like you couldn't gain or lose 5 to 10 pounds.
Many of the moms wanted to leave, but the contracts were not easy to get out of. They were long contracts with hardly a way out, and with terms like that, it makes sense that some of the dancers today are struggling with anxiety issues. But despite what they dealt with on the show, they've all done a really good job at persevering and making a good name for themselves. I'd just like to thank all of you who have stuck around to the end of this video. If you guys like what you see on my channel, leaving a like and subscribing is kinda neat. If YouTube isn't enough, I have my social medias in the description, and I also have a Discord server where we're going to be doing gaming nights, so that's pretty epic. I would also just love to thank the amazing people who have drawn fan art. Your art is all so unique and really cool to look at. It's all just so awesome. Again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Oh, every night is like a daze, but oh, I'm feeling braced, yes, I know I'm running late. Let's wait just one more day. I know I'm running away from moment.